Hi friends, it's host Eric and Rachel, and we're here, and we're streaming a stream that you're guaranteed to cherish for the rest of your life. If you've not experienced something cherish-worthy before, today's your lucky day. This is going to be the most cherish-worthy experience of your life. Hi Lou DeFay. Lou DeFay, name changer, as she's sometimes known. Changer of names. I'm Lou DeFay, changer of names. You are now Steve. My name's Carla. I said you're Steve. I'm Lou DeFay, changer of names. Respect my authority. Anyhow, as I was mentioning, what's really special about this particular stream is that it turns out that you, Lou DeFay, and everyone else who sees it is going to end up, for a variety of different reasons, cherishing this stream for the rest of their lives. It's going to turn out to be one of the most important events in their personal life history. When they're on their deathbed, and no matter how shitty the rest of their life went, they'll say, well, at least I had that one glorious evening, that one live stream that was so shockingly, soul-crushingly spectacular that I have cherished it ever since for the rest of my natural life. That's this stream right here. It doesn't happen every day. Most of my streams are absolute garbage, but this one is so special that it could kill you. If you could get cherishment poisoning, in which case people have been known to die from that if they also have like their head chopped off or something.
If they also have it,
if you have excessive cherishment and you also have your head chopped off, you could die.
You could die.
You could,
You
yeah.
could. Okay. Wow.
So, I guess before we even get into the part of the stream which makes it so worthy of non-stop, relentless cherishing, let's talk a little bit about how life has failed to introduce us all to the value of cherishment heretofore. Because, it can be a little overwhelming when you first realize how cherishable this is, and that you've never met anything so cherishable before. And so much so that cognitive dissonance is almost sure to compel you to say to yourself, by golly, this is so dramatically different than the norm, I'm feeling traumatized. And that's why I'm warning you ahead of time. I'm giving you a setup here to prepare you so that to reduce the trauma. I've alerted you in advance in the title that this is going to be that huge. So when it is that huge, fewer people will die of shock, die of sudden ontological change syndrome, or, hey, those words aren't okay, sudden death onslaught syndrome, in which somebody determines that some words aren't okay and has a sudden onslaught of death overwhelm them like an avalanche of dying.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's a lot to take in. I don't want an avalanche of dying.
Nobody does. That's why we're taking these precautions here. That's why I'm equipping every Voyager on today's live stream with an avalanche beacon. So if you get buried beneath this avalanche snows of life-changing insight that are soon to follow, after I'm done with all the disclaimers and stuff, you'll be able to push a button and your comrades here at TWFP will rush over and save you. Were you on something else? You don't like those? Or what? Did you eat those? You did? No, you didn't. The peacock doesn't like them either.
Oh, wow.
That's saying something right there. You know you got some crap-ass treats that the nuts if the peacock won't even eat them. Lou DeFay, this caused me to ask a really, really important question. Have you ever had roasted peeled chestnuts before? I just tried one for like the first time. I was about to put it in my mouth. I did put it in my mouth. I was expecting to crunch down on something crunchy. And it's like the consistency of a rotten nut. Yes? You're raising your
There
hand.
are also I don't know where they came from, but those seaweed things, I also recommend not eating those. I think they're disgusting.
Well, maybe the peacock will eat that.
I don't know, man. They're really gross.
Maybe the fish
It's
will
just
eat
like
them.
tasting the sea. It's like you're taking a bite into the Pacific Ocean.
I'll tell you what.
Should we try?
I want to try to give some seaweed to the fish in the fish tank.
Oh.
Because if it's super fishy, then
It's
they might like it.
yeah, it does. It tastes like salt water. Worst texture, Ludife says. I don't know where I tried them, but when I saw the bag of them on our shelf, I was like, huh, where did these come from? It doesn't seem like something that Eric would be into. Did you try?
Life is temporary, self-help lounge, but cherishment is forever, okay? The kind of cherishment that I'm going to instill in you today, once we get around to it, we haven't actually started the cherishing part yet. So this part, if you're not currently cherishing, now you already are, because you're pre-cherishing. You're pre-cherishing. You're cherishing out in the parking lot before going in, because it's expensive to cherish inside. But what I'm trying to get at here is, when we get to the part that's really cherishable, everyone is at serious risk of going into shock. Because the insight that I'm going to be bringing today is so powerful that it may sweep out from underneath you the very foundations of your own identity, leaving you gasping for a sense of self in the aftermath. Only a few hundred people all over the world know this incredibly vigorous truth. I'm one of them. I'm going to share it with you today. And once I'm done sharing it, you're going to say, now I finally understand what it means to deeply, deeply cherish. I'm never going to forget this day. It's going to stay with me for the rest of my life.
Wow. The rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just warning people in advance, because I don't warn them. People might, let's say you're driving and they hear this incredible insight I'm going to tell them. They could crash their car, right? It's so stunning an insight.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody is in the middle of flying a jet plane with hundreds and hundreds of passengers on it, and they're listening to me right now because they've got real internet in the cockpit. And so, of course, they tune this in. Well, I'm warning them, turn this off if you are currently flying a jet plane, if you're responsible for a lot of lives, because the kind of insight that the words I'm going to say will produce in you is going to resonate so loudly, you'll feel as though you've gone deaf and blind and lost the sense of smell and lost the sense of taste for a full 3-4 minutes, okay? You can expect to basically black out. And, of course I'm not overselling it. If anything, I'm underselling it. This is the sort of truth that launches entire new universes. The Big Bang was lit by a truth just like this one. Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. You just gotta hold on for a second. I'm waiting because I want to make sure I've done all my good disclaimering work here to make sure that if you do stick around and you suffer some kind of injury, such as, ontological collapse syndrome, because like I said, this truth is so powerful, it may undermine core intellectual foundations that you build your own identity upon. It's driven men mad.
I am starting to think that Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, maybe an INFJ.
I'm starting to think the title of that show's a lie. I know
It's
that
a
at least
lie.
there
It's
are some
definitely a
days
lie.
in Philadelphia where it's not sunny.
No, it's not sunny in Philadelphia. That's the thing. They call it that because, like, all of the characters are, like, mean assholes. And, like, if you watch, like, it's not a show to watch here and there. Like,
I don't. I have watched little bits of it, like you said,
Yeah.
and I don't like it.
yeah. And I watched it that way to start off with, and I didn't like it either because I was like, these are, like, really fucking mean people. Like, mean, like... But the truth is, if you come from Pennsylvania, like, you kind of get it. Like, Philadelphia fans are really nasty. Like...
But Rachel, it's the city of brotherly love.
I know.
I guess only male siblings love each other in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Everybody else, it's
Everyone
open
else,
season.
it's a crapshoot.
I really
Yay!
wish Cyclops from X-Men was put into Sunny in Philadelphia. He's the right kind of jerk. Something about him would fit in. I mean, he's notorious for destroying furniture with his eyes, right?
Yeah.
And all kinds of other shit. It's like, all of a sudden, before you know, I don't know where you got this big red laser beam going like this.
Yeah.
We're just like tearing everything up all around.
That would actually be... They couldn't use that kind of chaos in that show. I think it's starting to... Here's the thing. I don't like to be negative, but, like, I watched the seasons up until, like, 2016, 17, maybe, and, it, like, I feel like people just watch it now because it's been on for so long. Like, I haven't seen any recent episodes, so I can't say, actually, but, I think they hit its peak.
Laser eyes, I got a crappy superpower. Why I got laser eyes,
I got laser eyes.
What do I want to laser with my eyes? Nothing at all, just a couple
hates
of
my
pies.
guts. What do I do about that? I like his girl and she likes him.
Listen, Chris Tyne,
You didn't miss anything.
you didn't miss anything because I haven't started the cherishing part yet.
No.
Okay, we've been delaying. Hi, Jonathan, you made it in
Hey,
time,
hey.
don't worry. When I do announce the incredibly powerful insights that I'm going to announce tonight, and there's going to be at least one, maybe two,
You're gonna cherish them?
that's when you're going to feel the trigger kick in.
Yeah.
And you're going to realize, oh my God, I'm going to cherish this
Yes. You know,
as hard as I can for the rest of my life.
it's actually like the precious moments. You know those precious moments dolls? They're called precious moments figurines because they capture and encapsulate precious moments of our lives.
This is, if you want to know what's precious,
This string.
look at this right here. This is precious. But until I announce the insight that you're going to cherish for the rest of your life, right now, it's just you're thinking, oh, this is adorable. I
Yeah.
like this. It's comfortable. It's fun. It's gentle or whatever. But when that truth hits you, it's going to hit you like a Mack truck in the side of the head. And if you're not prepared to have your whole ontology shaken to its core by the striking wisdom of its insight, you could die a shock. Oh, good, you brought your cherishing utensils. Now, I will ask that anybody who brought any roasted chestnuts, please leave them outside. It turns out those things are gross. So, you're probably wondering right now, hey Eric, what is this incredibly powerful insight that you're going to share with us? And how is it going to change my life? And how is it going to turn my cherishment knob up all the way to 10? Well, if I told you that right now, I don't think you'd be ready to cherish it enough. It would probably, the impact of it would just turn you into a bloody mist, basically. Just
A mist. A bloody mist.
A bloody mist. You need to have good defenses prepared in anticipation of this insight, because that's how powerful it is. So I want each of you now to picture in your own mind, before, and part of the readiness process, picture your own identity, okay? There you are. Who am I? Say, who am I? Okay. Now I want you to walk that identity into a very well protected cabin that's buried underneath a hill in the woods, the underground cabin. And I want you to tuck away that sense of identity in there. And I want you to take a metaphorical key, and I want you to gently lube it up a bit first, slide it up your butthole into your butthole region. Now, afterwards, when your identity has been utterly shattered by my powerful insight, when you've experienced true ego death, I'm going to say the key phrase, check your butthole. And that will be enough to allow you to find enough grasp on reality again to unlock that identity that you thought I had destroyed. It's still there. We kept a copy of it, okay? So if you don't do these preparatory steps, then I'm worried, because we could lose you and never get you back. That's how powerful these words I'm going to tell you are today. Okay? We could lose you in the mists of epistemological mud.
I'm already lost.
Yeah. And I haven't even said anything insightful yet. So it's like, be careful. Right? If you didn't bring a map, I hope we brought a compass. If you didn't bring a compass, I hope you know that moss grows on the north side of the tree.
That's a good emoji of a butt. I didn't ever, like, that's not how I draw my butts, but that definitely looks
butt-like.
Butt-like, yeah.
Yeah. It is quite butt-like.
Yeah.
So this reminds me of the last handful of times an unmissable life-changing experience with the topic of a stream. Stop changing my life, damn it. Listen, I can't help it as the stages of enlightenment continue to unfold within me, and I become ever more one with absolutely everything. I cannot help but reveal some of these truths, and you cannot help but be fundamentally changed by their power. Okay?
I have a truth.
What's your truth?
Put your whippets in a floppy hat. That way, when you're digging through it, it seems like there's more that's in there because there's more fabric.
There's more holes for it to hide in.
Yeah.
This man is not a faucet. The enlightenment does not come at your convenience. Right, exactly. Okay, you can't just turn on.
Not at your convenience.
Alright, I don't worry, yes, I will enlighten all of you. It's true. Just, if you just can overcome your incredible fear at this powerful life-changing truth, you too will be able to evolve into the next phase of spiritual development.
And we know you're afraid. Everyone's afraid in the beginning. It's normal, it's natural, it's part of being human. But
you're about to embark on the wizard's path. And that can be pretty life-changing right there.
Yeah, that's very life-changing.
Because the first thing you got to do when you embark on the wizard's path is go through what's called Nut Kick Alley. In which several different people in succession either kick you in the puss or the nuts.
Oh, man. Ow.
So it's not a very pleasant way to begin. You're not going to cherish that part, okay?
Don't. So I got this, like, new book. Uh-oh.
A Ludife. Are you suggesting I don't really have some insight as powerful as I'm suggesting I do? I am appalled and alarmed and offended. Now let's hear what Rachel has to say about her book of colors.
I have a book, and it's called Color Astrology. And it takes the Pantone colors and gives you a little description about what your birthday means, and it gives you a birthday color. So if you want to know your birthday color and a little bit about yourself, we have a new tool for that. We got it at the thrift store. It's a nice little find. Like for Eric.
I didn't even recognize it as an astrology link thing at all. I just thought, hey, that looks like a paint swatch book, you know?
Yeah. That's the whole point.
But it turns out it's got extra connections to birthdays and stuff in there.
Yeah, so April 27th. Oh. Is Easter egg. And Eric is verbally strong, striking, and motivated. That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's bad. Alright, here it is. I'm not going to make you wait any longer. Here's the incredibly powerful insight. So, everything you think you know about yourself, every idea you've ever had, and every self-concept that you think is important, they're all wrong.
Oh, shoot.
And what you need to do to save your soul is to look inside you, deep inside you, and you will discover, deep inside there is a tightly packaged up miniature self that says Eric approved on it. Now I want you to unwrap that self, and I want you to put it in water. It will grow like a sponge until it fills up the entirety of your current self and replaces it with the most amazing enlightenment you'll ever experience.
Jonathan Basanti, you got Amber Light.
Amber Light. That's golden
Intent,
nugget.
smart,
That's
successful.
Golden nugget. That's golden
Oh
nugget.
shit.
Other way.
Other way. There you go, Amber Light.
You're dramatic, creative, and sensitive. You are kind of dramatic and creative. I don't know if you're sensitive or not.
You definitely, I see the creative side especially.
How fucked would the world be is the correct way to phrase that question, Eli. Totally fucked. That's how fucked it would be if everybody was an ENTP. It'd be an absolute nightmare. Everybody trying to pontificate, nobody wanted to listen. And nobody wanted to do it anybody else's way. You know? Oh. June 9th, 1969, 69.
Oh! My bad.
He's August 4th.
August 4th?
I'll look it up for you. Sunflower.
Sunflower.
Productive, diligent, and courageous. If you were born on this day, let's see, I'll read to you what it says. If you were born on this day, you are not afraid to fight for what you want. You have ability and strength and know how to persevere in the face of adversity. You're a generous and loving person and quietly lend a helping hand to a great many people. How this color benefits you. Your personal color helps ease your tenacious spirit. Wearing, meditating on, and surrounding yourself with sunflowers inspires calm as you continue to learn, explore, and attain the many goals you have on your horizon. And you should get with someone who's born either May 21st, September 21st, or November 12th. That's your ideal mate. I have one of those 3 birthdays.
Okay, the next one is Lu Fei. She's 2/14. February 7th.
February 14th.
Yeah.
Okay, February 14th. Alright, Lu Fei, you are looking at...
I hope you like the color purple!
Vista Blue. That's what it's called.
Oh, Vista Blue, my bad. Blue.
Vista Blue. I don't know
Funny.
I'm not sure if the color's coming out right on your end because I got the color filter on. So maybe if we're going to be doing this, I should turn off the filter. But, Vista Blue. Funny, unusual, restless. If you were born on this day, you march to your own drum beat, and no amount of pestering will change your course until you decide to do so. You are agreeable and friendly, but prefer to do things your own way. Once you have an idea or a purpose in mind, you can be relentless in your pursuit of it. No one can ever call you average. How this color benefits you. Your personal color helps you discern fact from fiction. Wearing, meditating on, or surrounding yourself with Vista Blue helps keep you open-minded and eases any mental restlessness you may experience. And your compatible birthday, so you want to get with somebody who's born on May 7th, July 5th, or August 14th.
We're not compatible according to that book. But, there you go.
I think it's the 16th that is Valentine's Day, isn't it?
No, it's true. The 14th is Valentine's Day.
I like Jeremiah Fix's interpretation of an all ANTP universe. Your mom. No, your mom. No, your mom. No, your mom.
Okay, Midnight Goddess is next, January 10th.
Well, I didn't say we're not compatible. It just says that she's not one of my days, I guess.
Ooh, you got fancy for brown. Bombay Brown.
Bombay Brown. Bombay Brown. Okay. Realistic, self-sufficient, creative. If you were born on January 10th, you have an ambitious spirit and can accomplish a great deal with a positive point of view. People born on this day know that it takes discipline, hard work, and enormous intention to achieve the high goals that you've set for yourself. How this color benefits you. Your personal color helps you integrate love into your everyday activities. Wearing, meditating on, and surrounding yourself with Bombay Brown stimulates optimism and reminds you to stay flexible and lighthearted as you move towards your goals. Compatible birthdays, April 26th, just missed me, June 20th, and December 10th.
Next one, 9/26, September 26th for Jeremiah Fix.
September 26th.
Oh no.
Oh, Wendy Whippets is out of Whippets. You get this one. It's called Plum Wine. Plum Wine. Intense, charismatic, imaginative. A life filled with love is very important to you. People feel better when you are around. Try not to let disappointments dull your natural enthusiasm. Transformation is an integral part of your life. Although some experiences can be challenging, you can count on them to move you towards your soul's purpose. Your personal color helps increase strength and perception. Wearing, meditating on, and surrounding yourself with plum wine sustains your spirit by increasing resolve. Compatible birthdays, January 26, September 24, and December 16. Alright, let's see here.
Last one, Christine. December 27th.
Christine, December 27th. Okay. December 27th. Your color is called Turkish Tile. Protective, idealistic, and expressive. Turkish Tile. If you were born on this day, your mind is sharp and discriminating. Although you are capable of making good judgments, there are times when you are idealistic about relationships. Be sure to connect with people who love and support you. You have a unique way of expressing yourself, and people find you interesting and distinctive. You have a dry sense of humor that shows off your quick intellect and perception. How this color benefits you. Wearing, meditating on, and surrounding yourself with Turkish Tile helps you stay lighthearted and inspired while reminding you to believe in yourself and others. Compatible birthdays, March 28th, August 12th, and November 19th.
All of this information should be cherished.
Yeah, this is all cherish worthy. But most importantly, the most cherish worthy thing I can possibly tell you is this: everything you've ever thought, felt, imagined, believed, dreamed, hoped, worried about is a complete lie. Just throw it all away. Every single thing that's ever happened to you, or that you've ever done, or said, or thought, prior to this moment is an abject lie. And you need to throw it right in the garbage can. And I want you to look inside for that little tightly wrapped person that says on it, approved by Eric. That's the version of you that I've approved ahead of time. So you need to unwrap that and let that slowly get wet and grow. Don't try to rush it. Okay, so if you're currently so blown away by my mind-blowing insight that you're reeling and wondering, how will I ever recover from this incredible revelatory meow? Well, remember, go down into that little house I had you build ahead of time underneath the hill in the forest, pull the key from your butthole, and I want you to let out your original identity. Now what you're going to find is that it seems disgusting and filthy and rancid to you now. Now that you've gotten introduced to the Eric approved version of you, you'll find the old version of you utterly despicable. So you just have to say goodbye. And if it tries to follow you around, you just say, get out of here, you, and squirt it with the hose. Should copyright me out. You're kind of like, I'll tell you what you're a lot more like than a chia pet. This Eric approved version of Winston's mom that I've hidden somewhere inside your ontology is like this. It's like one of these things that you sent me. You put it in water, and it's not pretend when you grow the perfect friend. Drop in the water and watch it grow. Well, Turkish tile is the name of a color by, what's that color company called? Pantone. So if you go to, I guess, like paint store or something that uses that kind of color, I'm not sure how it works really. I'm sure if you tell somebody like at a paint store it's Pantone color meow, then they'd be able to make it for you presumably.
Yeah, they probably could.
So big stuff going on. Big stuff going on in the universe of Mindy's Club. If you haven't been keeping up, well, you're missing out on history's most exciting show. If you have been keeping up, you know that apparently Tiffany was as shocked to learn this as anybody, but apparently Perry and Tiffany are boyfriend and girlfriend now. When Perry explained to Tiffany that she wakes up there every day and they have the same conversation every morning where she comes out of bed and says, "Oh my God, what are you? You're so gross and great outside me." And she calls him Fishman, and he says his name is Perry, and she ignores him, etc., etc., But this morning, Tiffany is listening a little bit better than normal. She said, "Why? What do you mean I wake up here every morning?" "Well, you have a key." "You have a key, Tiffany," says Perry. And she puts two and two together and says, "Hold on a second. If I like always here, I wake up here, and I have a key, are you my boyfriend?" So, and the bottom line is, basically, yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Basically, yeah. But she points out to him that, you know what, maybe me and your girlfriend's not so bad. You got these weird things on the back of your head. And your slimy part, it stops like here, and then it resumes again at the knee. But the thing is, that's just the beginning of a saga that's much bigger than that,
Yeah.
Because, you see, Kendi hasn't gone away. Kendi hasn't disappeared. She's still out there plotting. And she made a deal with Brandon that may just end up producing some results for Candy, and we're going to see how that ends up playing out. But in the interim, while we're waiting for those election results to come in, I'm going to play you this very, very important audio file. If you don't like things that are important, quick, turn away. This will be too important for you. Hi, Fly Guy. Have I ever mentioned that you, sir, are a very fly guy? What does that mean, Eric? Well, it means now, with it. Not square, you might say, in the youthful vernacular. That's what it means. Here we go.
I buy a apple with what's and I hate whipped cream. One word without a good meaning. Always sit down, coming up dreams, or you'll fall to the ground and you'll make a scene. I'm Wendy Whippets. Beat double peace fly. It's a hell of a life, lots of nods, little stripe. Wendy Whippets has arrived.
Double P and Wendy Whippets invite you to sing along with our song Like Me. Much more you see, like the B-double-P-F-A-C-E. I'm a baby pig and my face is poo. My name is Mr. Poop Face. Nice to meet you. What we need is a party in here. Dancing girls, music, drugs, beer. And baby pig poop face. And there's a party in here. Dancing girls.
W-E-N to the D-Y to the space. Whippets are what go in my face. Why wouldn't they? I'm not Cindy Slipper J. No way, I'm Wendy Whippets today. Mrs. Big Poop Face is also okay.
Baby pig poop face, I might say. Together we're a couple that's super gay. B-double-P and Wendy Whippets invite you to sing along with our song. Double Poop Face and his wife.
Mrs. Baby Wendy Whippets, Big Poop Face for life.
Double Poop Face and his wife.
Mrs. Baby Wendy Whippets, Big Poop Face for life.
Double Poop Face and his wife.
Have a nice night.
So it's not mixed yet, Master Bobby, and so it is the case that Rachel's Vox at the beginning there are up too loud, and the affected one is too high in the mix. But yeah, it is a wholesome. It's a wholesome song in general. Yeah, it does need more mixing. Yolandi Vista vibes. Well, the thing that makes it cool, especially, I think, is that this is a blending of universes, okay? So, where has Mindy been this whole time? Like, this is Mindy's club. Why do we not be seeing much Mindy? Where has she been running off to? This is the question that Kendi has been asking. And she finally finds a partner in crime, so to speak, in Brandon, who's lamenting the lack of screen time he gets, complaining about how only dumb girls get screen time, and he needs to get a girlfriend, obviously, if he's ever going to get any screen time. Well, Kendi overhears this, takes advantage of the overture of sorts, and says, hey, look, if you can get me what I need, I'll be your girlfriend. And so Brandon dresses up as a Muslim woman in a burqa and secretly follows Mindy, only to discover where was she going. Well, I'm not going to tell you because that'd be too much of a spoiler. But suffice it to say that there's the video of this song. You won't be able to recognize this person because she's still got her mask on. Okay. You know how, like, Daft Punk, they don't say who they are, they have, like, bags over their heads or whatever? Well, Wendy Whippets the singer of this song is the same way. She's anonymous. And you won't be able to recognize her because she's got a mask on. But
Pretty good mask.
that might give you a little bit of a hint. For those of you guys who are really, really, really good at seeing through disguises, I did custom make that mask, yeah. I did. I made it out of a piece of paper towel with a Sharpie and some candle wax to give it a little bit more durability and stickiness. Yeah, I can't tell you who it is. I can't tell you. Suffice it to say, she's too well disguised for anyone to figure out. But she's going to be doing the video with that for that song. We've already started recording parts of it. In fact, we got a great little snippet of video today at the Whippet store, which I think I'm going to have to share with you right now, that little snippet.
Yeah.
Where's my phone?
Is it charging?
No. Is it on this thing? Yes. That's where it is. Where it usually is. Okay. So look at this. You guys are going to be like, wow, that's so exciting, Eric. Actually, I'll pull it up on Google Photos here. Be a better way to show it to you. You're going to see what it really means to be committed to a concept, okay?
Yes.
That's what it's called, commitment to a silly concept. Here it is. Alright. Now, this is probably going to begin the music video, but in this one, I will have the individual's face pixelated so that you can't tell who she is, because we're protecting her identity, obviously.
Yeah.
But anyway, here we go. I'll bring this up for us so we can see it. No. Alright, fine. I will instead download this and open it at a media source, thereby bypassing that silly tab. Okay, now we're going to add a media source. We're going to pew it, like pew, and then go to browse. And we're going to find it. Where? Well, we're going to find it in downloads because I just
So
downloaded
strong.
it. I'm going to open it like this.
Can I have a box of Whippets?
A 50 pack?
Yes.
Alright. There we go, Wendy.
So yeah, it was sideways, but
You get the
you get the
idea.
gist, right? That person whose name I'm not going to say because obviously we're protecting her identity, but we managed to catch some footage of her actually buying Whippets today from the Whippet store, and it's pretty obvious that she's a regular there. The guy addresses her by name.
Can I have a box of Whippets?
A 50 pack?
Yes.
Alright. There we go, Wendy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was Wendy Whippet's voice right there. But I mean, I will obviously turn it right side up when I use that thing. I also got, I'll add another media source here for you. It's pretty fun. This one is what you'd call time-lapse video of Wendy doing a whole box of whippets. As you can see, she's a real enthusiast. Well, Rachel and I were really happy because we got the cool guy at the whippet store that we like. Who's like, he's super chill, and it's like when I said we're gonna do this, I think Rachel and I were both hoping, hopefully we get that guy.
We both were. I was too.
And he was working today, and I, as expected, he was more than happy to help with this little idea.
Mm-hmm.
He thought it was fun, and he wanted to do it and stuff. So, well, I mean, the thing is, the video itself is going to be like we saved all the empty whippet things, so it's gonna be like, you know, be scenes of her stepping over whippets that are spaced one leg length apart in succession in time with the beat, with her arms going up like this as she's rapping and stuff. And that'll be made out of stills because it's easier to deal with that in terms of timing it out for a song in Windows Movie Maker, and then I'll combine a few different little films in OBS so that it's like during some part of the song while Wendy and we also have, of course, Baby Pig Poop Face, who will also have a mask on until you won't be able to recognize him. Suffice it to say, even though he wears a mask, he still wears a blue suit that he normally wears. So that might be enough of him for you to be able to identify who he is. I don't know. Alright, so right now, most of you are probably about neck deep in cherishment. And you're wondering, can I survive all this cherishing? Well, it's like Rachel pointed out earlier. It's about learning how to manage the impact of preciousness in your life. What you're witnessing right now is so goddamn precious that you can't help but be swimming in a big lake of cherishment. But remember, cherishment is just like peppermint or spearmint, except it's made out of cherishing instead of spears or peppers. So keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. This is coincidental, but you literally have poop on your face. Well, may I suggest wiping it off?
Yeah.
That's going to be my solvency there. Now, I just torched my fart so that Rachel didn't have to smell it.
Consideration for the other person. It's very considerate.
I'm also going to suggest that when you do wipe it off onto some sort of paper towel, that you throw that paper towel into the trash can. You can reject my suggestion, of course. You can rebel and keep the poop on your face indefinitely. But the reason I suggest you wipe it off is primarily being a natural-born poop face where my entire face is poop. I know from experience people respond better after I've had Bradley apply my makeup to make me look like a regular person. Well, you are a rebel. Crush this filthy rebel alliance. Rebel. You know, it seems like well, I mean, we're gonna shoot some stills with Wendy and the cracker, the blue thing. Also with Wendy and inflated punch ball balloons. So we don't do it like this since we got a proper machine anymore. But these, Wendy will have at least some scenes in which Wendy is huffing her nitrous from these. You see that?
I think this is game on.
This one says level up. Let me turn off the
level
filter
up.
for a second. Let me turn off the filter. So we'll have her holding this one, level up. And also this one. Game on. So this is a very conceptual piece that we're working on here, and it's the first time that I've ever incorporated like a song into a universe really successfully. Like I've had plenty of songs before about characters in my universes. Like Spudbrow Spree is about Francis and Pucker Tart Lemon Squeeze and the International Delight and all that stuff. And it has a music video, but the problem is that universe has no place where it expresses its happenings. And so there's not a real tie-in. Whereas this instance is I actually have because, I've got lots of sets of characters that I've long since forgotten about, I'm sure, But most of them never amount to anything. In other words, there's not a medium in which they can exist and their happenings be made manifest for public consumption. But Mindy's Club has allowed me to do that, and it's been so much fun. It's been so much fun is what it's been. And thank you, Jeff Shaw, for saying that. I appreciate it. The nice thing about making Mindy's Club shorts as well is they're not about me, And when I run afoul of things, it's mostly because I'm running afoul of things about me. Like, I've said something that somebody views as arrogant or inadequately, I guess, nuanced in evaluating its impacts on all different levels, and instead too focused on a TI kind of frame, maybe. I don't know. There's a variety of things that can happen that make it difficult for people to engage with me in quite the same way that they engage with other people, maybe, because I don't seem to adhere to all the basic rules of egalitarianism underlying most people's worldviews, whether they know it or not, Even though I'm highly egalitarian, but I'm also highly elitist, so it's a weird combination, It's like, I haven't really heard anybody else say, without being a complete fucking pig, things like, well, if you're going to vote in an election that I'm running, and you're not going to vote for me, then you shouldn't vote at all. Or, if you're talking about politics like you shouldn't vote at all. You should declare yourself unqualified. democracy is not helped when more people vote. It's helped when fewer people vote, only qualified people. You don't really ever hear anybody say that for some reason. Right? Like, why not? Well, that would be representative of my elitist side, but I mean, ultimately I'm as egalitarian as they come in the sense that I treat everybody the same and sometimes fail to individuate expectations where I ought to, so much so that I treat everybody the same. That's the case. So, I don't know. The point is, when I'm just having fun and making jokes, and clearly entertaining myself, if nothing else, and trying to tell stories that sometimes get pretty FI polar, and sometimes get really quite sweet, you know? It's so liberating, having only 15 seconds to work with. It's like I gotta cut out everything but the core things, the core ideas. You got basically 3 lines of dialogue. Meow, meow, meow. Maybe 4. But that's it. That's all you can squeeze in there. If you try to squeeze in more than that, then you get 2 short cuts and it starts feeling super choppy and rushed. Like, conservatives are critiqued for not embracing voting rights, and the explanation is, well, they want to suppress the disenfranchised political voices because the disenfranchised will vote for things that help the disenfranchised and harm the elite. But it's simply not the case at all. In fact, like every other bullshit group label that people use to reduce individuals to members of groups, the poor are not monolithic. The disenfranchised are not monolithic. You got just as many of them voting wrong to the right as voting wrong to the left or any other direction. So, hold on. Master Bobby, are you suggesting that the blacks have women now? When did the blacks get women? The first black woman. 2022, and we finally have a black woman.
Wow, we finally have a black woman?
Yeah. Prior to this, there were only black men and white women.
Wow. It truly is a new age.
I feel so woke. I want a shirt that says, "I'm so woke I've gone back to sleep." Wokeness is like Adderall. Sometimes it puts you to sleep. For reasons not quite explainable.
Yeah.
Low information voting is a problem. I mean, I think high voter turnout is a problem. Because the problem is that it's not that voters aren't informed. In fact, the more informed voters are, the less likely they are to do a good job because of the nature of political discourse. Instead of actually talking about politics, people talk about mythologies. They talk about divisive wedge issue things that aren't ever going to manifest as policy matters that come before the person they're voting for. So it's just mythology playing, you know? It's like abortion's not relevant to whether you should vote for me not because you shouldn't care about that, but because it's very unlikely to come up during an administration, like my administration or something. Like federal law on abortion is more or less unchanging. It's the state laws that, or the states that are doing abortion law stuff, and then those state laws they go through a court vetting process. The federal position on it is pretty much set. You know, it's like people try to occasionally pass some sort of federal abortion thing, and it gets struck down as as of course, when you have a fundamentally bad decision in the first place, it's the reason the decision in the first place was bad is not because abortion shouldn't be legal or because women shouldn't have access to abortion. I am not stating any position on that. The reason the legal decision was bad originally is that it's predicated on something that's fundamentally imaginary, make-believe, and bullshit. Namely, a right to privacy. There is no right to privacy. That doesn't make any sense. If there were a right to privacy, then anytime I don't want you looking at me, I can tell you to stop looking at me, and if you don't, you've committed a crime and violated my rights. And that's simply not the case. So, since we don't have a right to privacy, you cannot predicate the policy implications of your Supreme Court decision on such said right. It doesn't exist. Since the reasoning behind the original court decision is foundationally fallacious, SCOTUS is desperate to scramble away from revisiting it, because ultimately they know it doesn't have two legs to stand on argumentationally. You'd have to justify it by some other reasoning mechanism than that one. That's not. It is the case that the 10th Amendment and indicates that the list of rights protected by the Bill of Rights is not comprehensive. So it is possible for the Supreme Court to refer to a right not there listed, but in that case, they should simply say women have the right to get an abortion. That's the right not listed. There's no reason to derive it from a right to privacy. And by doing so, they make it impossible to support argumentationally under their framework. What is important is only things driven by profit are politicized. That's not true. That's so absolutely not true. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's politicized that's not profit-based at all. It's true that when something becomes a hot-button issue, then it tends to generate possible mechanisms of monetization of things surrounding that issue. But it's absolutely not the case that only profit-based things are politicized. So, for example, masks in school is highly politicized, and it is true that someone makes money off of masks, but the reason it's politicized is not because of the money-making aspect of it. It's because of intellectual tweenhood for most of humanity. Humanity's in its intellectual tweens, and what we have here is this reckoning with information fluidity that we've had to make in the internet age. And what we saw with like COVID was generalizing the wrong thing. Just as America failed utterly in misgeneralizing from World War II, so too did it fail utterly in misgeneralizing from the Russian interference in the Trump campaign in the previous election. So too did it misgeneralize from the spew of misinformation coming from, what you might call runaway NI people. People who think that there's a deeper hidden secret explanation for everything. And sure, people were right to be annoyed by misinformation like that, especially as it became increasingly clear, wow, there are a shit ton of idiots out there who believe all this stuff, you know? However, COVID was exactly the wrong place to try to draw a misinformation line in the sand. And if we are going to be serious about misinformation, like YouTube says it is, you know, for example, with their new declare what your video is, they make you say if you're presenting misinformation. They you self-report, I'm presenting misinformation. Well, I mean, Melissa Talks needs to self-report that she's presenting misinformation. C.S. Joseph needs to self-report that. That's misinformation. fucking DSP, misinformation. So if we're gonna apply the standard of misinformation bad and some centralized, some essentially gatekeepery function is played by high-ranking members of a corporation or something. Then make it an open source argument, Allow me to make the argument that those channels need to be shut down for spreading misinformation. They're worse than Alex Jones. Their misinformation is more believable. It's just less political, but it does more fundamental harm. In other words, their misinformation prevents us from having the level of competency in terms of mapping of humanity and people and ideas and so forth that would allow us to resolve the problem of politicalization. So there are people like Jeff Shaw who think that they can reduce politics to some sort of holistic thing. In fact, the problem is much deeper than that, right? It's like, the problem is we've been operating from this wrong frame of reference for such a long time, and we've entrenched a lot of societal values, protocols, etc., based from this poisonous wrong frame of reference tree. So the polarization in politics is a symptom of that, not a symptom independent of that. And obviously, people are going to be politically polarized when they don't understand that what they're doing isn't politics. And when they don't understand what they're doing isn't politics, it's because they've not operated their whole lives in a frame of reference that says these kinds of people are capable of meaningfully communicating actual stuff about things. And these are the only ones who should be communicating meaningfully about politics and stuff like that. And if you're listening to somebody else and another type, then they really aren't qualified to be doing that kind of intellectual work. And so you should take that with many, many grains of salt. Alex Jones has been right too many times now. I mean, what was he right about exactly? I'm not sure exactly what his claims were. I knew that some of them were silly nonsense, and I do know for a fact that regardless of whether his claims turned out to be right or not, they were absolutely not adequately justified. So there was no reason to believe any of his claims, even if they turned out to be true, because he failed to justify them adequately. In other words, he wasn't intentionally capable of doing the work he was attempting to do. Yeah, I mean, I'm not in favor of silencing that kind of shit. I was never in favor of that, and I'm still not in favor of it. I'm just saying, the reason that schools and masks became so politicized is not profit-based. It represents a genuine schism between attentional groups. There are those attentional groups who skew heavy towards what you might say FS kind of values, which play out as the larger principled issues don't matter, and whoever paints the most dire picture gets all the money or something. Those are the greatest threat to sustainable civil society, because they don't know that they don't know, they don't get that they can't get, and they have no means of possibly ever understanding that, because their whole understanding of reality and humanity is predicated on a false frame of reference. So that's a problem, but I don't know what to do about it. It's like, this was figured out in some sense a long time ago, when Aristotle or Plato, I guess it was Plato, who wrote about the philosopher king, and the need for, that ultimately at the end of the day, it really does boil down to individual human beings. That the difference between a crumbling and failing America and a reborn America is one man. No, my position on COVID is that accidental lab release is a more likely explanation for the origin than animal transfer over. But that's not relevant to what we should do in response to it. So, you both misstated my argument and don't get that it's not relevant. Whether or not it's man-made has nothing to do with whether or not we should expand our status quo understanding of the jurisdictional scope of the group over the individual. It's one thing to say you have to wear a mask because you have COVID, or even you have to stay home and be quarantined because you have COVID. It's another thing to say you have to wear a mask because we don't know that you don't have COVID. And that sets the worst imaginable precedent. Everybody has to prove they are innocent of whatever risk they potentially might pose before they can behave as though they are. That is catastrophe. It's catastrophically bad, and that's the precedent we set. And that's the argument, right? It has nothing to do with the origins of the disease. The fact that you think that's relevant and brought that up and got my position on it wrong is strange. It's like, I mean, I've been very clear about my position on masks being linked to the scope of the group's jurisdiction and the individual's reasonable expectations of autonomy, and when and under what circumstances and upon meeting which conditions the group can claim authority over that. Those have been all my arguments all the time, and where the disease came from is completely irrelevant to all those arguments. So it's like, I wonder what's going on. Like, what's wrong with your processing of these things I'm saying that you're not picking up on the salient aspects? I'm not sure. No, I'm not applying that logic to immigration at all. Because, of course, sure, I'll apply it to immigration. A sovereign nation has sovereign authority over its borders. And the decision to let anybody in is one that needs not be upheld under the standards that are applied to people who are citizens. In other words, no nation has any obligation to let anybody in, and it's absolutely okay for any nation to arbitrarily enforce their borders however they want, because control of the borders is in fact the salient defining quality of what makes them a sovereign nation state. So I'm not sure why you would think my logic about public health and COVID and the autonomy of individuals to control their own face, unless proven that their face is actually a threat, would link to immigration at all. Because after all, we are talking about, I'm saying, here's what each sovereign state ought to do. Now, some sovereign states are more friends of justice and truth than others. In the United States, we've got a substantial population of people who dramatically oppose the measures implemented as a consequence of rampant, overwrought COVID alarmism. Now, what we do need to remember most of all when it comes to COVID is that when COVID was, they're not consistent? What are you talking about? Okay, you're too drunk at this point, I think. When COVID first came out, and the alarmism bell was ringing loudly globally, it was ringing loudly to the tune of 4%. At that time, when nobody else on the planet was saying it, I said, think for a fucking second, you tards. The methodology being applied to determine these numbers is they are testing only the very sickest instances of COVID sufferers in a country full of elderly people with multiple pre-existing conditions. The actual fatality rate will be, at most, 1/10 of that, one order of magnitude. And some 4 or 5 months later, very quietly, all the mainstream media published what I had said on day 2. So what was the problem there? Was it that, I mean, the problem was the same problem that it almost always is. People didn't listen to me. Even people here who were listening to me didn't agree. They thought it was too risky to take any chances being right and logical and smart because they were scared. That's why I have this song. Stupid and scared. COVID-19. Destroy everything with the impression you bring. Right? I pointed out early on, people are justifying public policies with appeals to ignorance. Because we don't know how bad it might be, we should do meh. You can never justify any advocacy with an appeal to ignorance and expect to have good outcomes. It's just as simple as that. Now, I said all this right at the beginning. It was determinate then. It won the arguments then. And it still wins the arguments now. And if everybody listened to me, we could have avoided this clusterfuck of a disaster. But unfortunately, people refuse to even engage the actual fundamental issues that are necessary to understand the issue. Right? It's like, what standard, what limiting principle is being upheld here, if any? What jurisdictional limits are being upheld here, if any? What happened to rule of law? During COVID, shit tons of California's laws just seemed to go right out the window. All of a sudden, there was no more straw law, there was no plastic bag law. It just seemed to be, these laws were abandoned left and right, willy-nilly, by individual parties as they saw fit. You had a jurisdictional clusterfuck where you had localities contradicting the counties they were in, which contradicted the states they were in. I mean, absolute fucking disaster. Why? Because my insistence that we actually justify things correctly was ignored. My pointing out that these stats are being framed in an extremely alarmist way that is guaranteed to be exaggerated by at least the magnitude of 1, an order of magnitude of 1, 10 times at least, was ignored. So maybe Jeff Shaw, instead of pulling yet more bullshit out of your cud chewing stomach and regurgitating it and having it dribble out of your mouth disgustingly, you should listen to me, for fuck's sake. After all, I'm right. I have a huge proven track record of being right. And being right before other people are right. Way before. So, this is very simple stuff. It's like, we don't need to make it more complicated than it is. It's as simple as this. If you can't justify your advocacy, you don't get to do it. Duh. Not rocket science. Are you guys actually discussing race eugenics? I mean, come the fuck on. Why is it better to have only smart people born anyway? You know what would be better is if the dumb people listened to me. That'd be way better than them not existing, would be them listening to me. But Jeff Shaw just refuses to. So, and I think he represents a lot of the dumb population. He's more concerned about how he is annoyed by my confidence than he is concerned about America, the world, goodness, truth, or justice. So, I don't know what to say about that. I can't both be this powerfully and uniquely right and constantly lie about it to everybody and say I'm not. It's like, it's a double bind that is unget-outable from. Hi, Cammy Girl 666. Are you the devil's cami girl? Did the devil tip you in brimstone for showing your boobs on camera? Here's a bag of brimstone. This whole thing was pretty much a power grab. By whom, Swift Eagle? This is the problem you have. What we know for sure about COVID is that it wasn't the implementation of any single vision. That's why we had localities contradicting counties, contradicting states, contradicting federal. Nobody was on the same page. Nobody could have predicted going in that this is how the world would react to this. It's not possible. In other words, your NI has run amok and presumed that it can know about
Excuse me.
that it can know about dynamic chaotic systems in the same way that it knows about dynamic non-chaotic systems. But it cannot, and your knowledge function is leading you down the path of wrongness. And I have explained this before, but you need to listen if you're going to learn anything from it.
That's such an interesting dream. Cam Girl 666. Eric actually already has a daughter named Delilah. She's gonna be 20.
She was born in 1998.
3?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess she'll be 23 in September. Yeah, she's great. I love her a lot. She's my favorite. I'm glad I only had one child. I feel very lucky. I got an ESTP. So she and I are both F5 polar, both TI tool. It's really easy to talk. You know, we have no conflicts between us because we have not only a lifetime of closeness, you know, because there was a stretch of time, not a very particularly long stretch of time, when I was a single father, and I mean, actually, it was a fairly long stretch of time because it was a good 7 years into my relationship with Candace before we got married and she moved in. Prior to that, she was like Delilah's mom, but she didn't really live with us. So, and Delilah's biological mom was basically out of the mix for 5, 6, 7 years when she was kind of like partying or whatever. I don't know. And she'd like scheduled to pick up Delilah and then just not show up and stuff like that. So she was a terrible biological mother. Anyway, Candace was the opposite of that, very reliable, very ESFJ. But I was still functioning like as a single father in the sense that because Candace wasn't living with us, she didn't really, like, the house was maintained as I and Delilah would maintain it, which is, it wasn't a shithole, it was just not that clean, really. Once Candace moved in, then it was like, don't leave that there, don't leave that there, which was fine. It was nice living in a nice house. She speaks some Spanish. She thinks she speaks better Spanish than she does. And no, I don't think she dances well. I don't know. I've not really ever seen her dance, but she's not very Mexican. I mean, I wouldn't consider her particularly Mexican. She's
so similar to you.
Yeah, I mean, her biological mother right away started calling her Eric Jr. in this like disgusted, angry way because she didn't like me. You know? Oh, great, Eric Jr. She was awful. Melinda, Delilah's mother, is awful. Anyway. Well, you know what I was talking about earlier with Rachel in the car? I think this is super important. The worst thing that the most arrogant and assaultive thing a person can do is to think their advocacy is more important than the truth. Because when that happens, you get all kinds of unintended consequences. So, for example, when I was in school, in health class and stuff, we were told that pulling out was not a reliable way to prevent pregnancy, and that condoms and that birth control pills were more reliable than pulling out, but that condoms were the way to go because they prevented both pregnancy and STDs. Except the truth is, pulling out is actually, unless you fail to do so, almost 100% reliable. More reliable than birth control methods that aren't pulling out. And now, it didn't really impact, those lies that they told us in health class didn't really impact my behavior much, but one can easily imagine somebody saying, well, since I'm barebacking it anyway, and pulling out's not very effective, I might as well just shoot my load, you know? One can easily imagine that occurring, potentially. And that's the thing, is when you're somebody who's TE in your justifications, well, we want to achieve this outcome, more people wearing condoms. So we're going to not really care about the truth. Well, then you end up with unintended consequences like that, and or like, you know, the lies that the anti-drug people told to us when I was in school. I remember experiencing like anxiety, guilt, shame, fear that I was ruining my life, etc. And those things, you know, the one thing I didn't really feel that about was alcohol, because they didn't really focus on alcohol very much in these anti-drug classes. And, of course, alcohol was the only drug that proved to be like that. For me. So, what did those lies do? Well, they caused harm, then they caused anger, and they didn't stick. And that's what they did to everybody. I mean, how many suicides did DARE cause with their demonization of drug users, their public service campaigns indicating that people who used substance X or Y were losers, criminals, etc., the culture-wide infusion of drug people as villains, not subhuman villains in movies and stuff, all of that shit, it's built of nothing but lies. Lies justified by the utility that drugs cause harms and we want to eliminate them. And the lack of humility, right? The arrogance, the presumptuousness of those fucks to think that they could predict how their stupidity would actually impact other people so well that they didn't have to be truthful. You know? I mean, that's the worst kind of evil there is. I'm so convinced that my desired outcome is desirable that I don't feel like I have to even be honest in justifying myself. As long as you get the idea that I want you to. Well, that's what happened with COVID too, right? Well, here's your 4% stat. It cannot be the case, although as far as I can tell, I was the only person who was saying this, but it cannot be the case that I'm the only person in the world smart enough to recognize the methodology flaws going on here in Italy and correctly articulate exactly what was going to happen with the statistics months down the road. It cannot possibly be the fucking case that I am the only human being on the planet who can see that. It seemed so shockingly obvious at the time, and still to this day, shockingly obvious, and yet I heard nobody saying it. How did that happen? Why am I the only one who said it? What's going on here?
So weird.
Because, look, I'm a smart guy. Most importantly, I have a massive pile of learning behind me because I'm an SI type. I've got decades of learning about everything that people argue about and about everything about how to argue in general and how to philosophize and all this kind of shit. I spent decades acquiring these skill sets, right? But this particular thing didn't require any kind of special expertise. All you had to do is think about it for a second. Hold on. These people in Italy who have COVID are dying, they say they're dying at a 4% rate, but they're also saying they don't have, they're a very big shortage of COVID tests, so they can only test the most sick people in the hospitals. That's all the tests they have. 2 plus 2 equals, what the fuck? Well, how can it be? Well, and Klaus, that's the thing. That's why it's so important that framework be prioritized where it belongs. It's the first question. In other words, before getting to other questions, that first question needs to be answered. So, when I pointed out that there was a brazen, obvious statistical problem with what was being presented, that should have ground to a halt all discussion about doing anything about it until we get our discourse straight, you know, and until we take things seriously as human beings and as adult thinkers, you know, because that was just clownishly absurd. That I'm the only person in the world who could notice that. And it's not true. It can't possibly be. So why isn't it the case that wasn't the topic of conversation? Well, because we're operating under this fundamentally wrong frame of reference that says everybody's qualified to do everything. Everybody's qualified to talk about politics. Everybody's qualified to understand public policy and what one ought to do. Everybody's qualified to talk about it. But only specialists are qualified to talk about medicine. And only specialists are qualified to... So it works both ways, right? The fact is, the vast majority of people aren't qualified to talk about politics. And it's not because they don't have certain degrees or certain trainings or certain whatever. It's because they're stupid. And that's okay. They're stupid about politics. They don't get it. They don't understand that real politics is boring. It's not full of sexy wedge issues. It's not full of dark, intended conspiracies by shady, undefined theys who are cabals of dominant elite. To the extent that it is, we know exactly what that looks like. It looks like Russia. There's a cabal of dominant elite. That's why Russia is a kleptocracy and not any kind of just, righteous Western state. You know? That's what it looks like. We know what a cabal of dominant elites looks like. It looks like North Korea, you know?
Yeah.
And so why would we think that, oh, well, that's a fake out. North Korea is fake. They're just putting that out there to fake you out, to think that that's how it looks. But really, the secret power people are behind the scenes. The failure to recognize that every other human being is no more superhuman than you are. You can't even be right about this. Why do you give them credit, being so right about everything, that they can take specific actions that end up cascading into the outcomes they predict in a massively dynamic and chaotic system? The thing is, like Klaus says here, well, you were able to be right, but you did not get the shot. Well, I don't think the shot's a problem. I'm not anti-vaccine. I have no problem with them coming up with a vaccine for a disease. My point is that it shouldn't be treated as a disproportionately more significant problem than it actually is, and we determine proportions by comparing against comparables. like the flu and stuff, right? So the issue here is not that science did what it should. Of course it did, but it should. And what it should do is try to come up with vaccines and stuff. The problem is that COVID didn't justify scrapping all of our institutions of civil autonomy in order to make some people feel more safe. COVID didn't justify scrapping our expectation that words be used honestly rather than politically. Or mythologically, I should say. This is the problem. People using mythological words to talk about politics needs to stop. You need to stop. That's not helping. That's part of the problem. And until you understand that, stop.
I mean, it feels like it makes sense why such bad data gathering would come from Italy. I mean, they're not exactly known for their intelligence.
Well, the thing is, it wasn't like the data gathering was bad. Well, I agree with you that the vaccine doesn't work, as evidenced by the fact that my daughter now has COVID.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
And she's been like ultra vaccine booster, test
She
herself
always
every
wore
5
her
minutes.
mask a lot,
She
yeah.
was like super whatever about it. Well, now she got COVID.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you that the vaccine doesn't really work. From what I can tell, there seems to be barely sufficient evidence to support the claim that, but sufficient evidence to support the claim that vaccinated people experience less severely. So it's not all bad. I mean, it's not bad for you. And I agree that it was executed by a new approach to vaccination, and that it is the case that, as with any kind of untried thing like this, that there may be hidden harms that emerge long term that you don't see right away. That's possible, but I mean, there's no reason to afford it more concern than it's due, right? I could worry about getting struck by lightning. I can worry about leaving my car out overnight and getting a ticket. If I walk in the rain and worry about getting struck by lightning, well, almost certainly my worry is wasted. If I leave my car out overnight and I worry about, oh shit, I'm going to get a ticket, I should pull it in. If I don't pull it in, I might not get a ticket, but my worry is not wasted if I pull it in, because if I do leave it out a few nights in a row, then I will get a ticket, for sure. So, it's like we have to actually evaluate what we know about the likelihood of harms, both in terms of magnitude, probability, and time frame. It's called an impact calculus. When you run an impact calculus, you attempt to make more quantified and or more concrete the utilitarian argument that you're articulating. If you're saying that we shouldn't take the vaccine because harms outweigh benefits, then you need to articulate those in terms of probability, time frame, and magnitude. And if you can't do that, then you're just making an appeal to ignorance, which, as I've said before, never justifies anything to good effect. Believe me, nothing good ever comes from justifying things with an appeal to ignorance. That we don't know how bad something might be is not a reason to assume it's going to be worse. We also don't know how good it's going to be. We don't know anything, we can't conclude anything from not knowing anything. Okay, there is no point of this. To say that there's a point of this is to say that it was an intended and executed plan by a specific named party of limited size that successfully produced outcomes predicted before the plan was decided upon and implemented. And as I've indicated, that's reflective of your inability to recognize the limits of introverted intuition to know in dynamic, chaotic systems. They're not any more superhuman than you or me. They can't know those things. Now, what you can do is know, like I'm talking about, I can successfully negate no problem. It's really easy to negate things that are wrong compared to affirming things, even if they're right. Because to affirm something, you have to not only be right, you have to have good enough reason to believe you're right to convince others. And if you don't have good enough reason to believe you're right to convince others, then you don't really have good enough reason to believe you're right yourself. And you're fooling yourself. Because if you cannot explain and articulate convincingly why that interpretation of reality is preferable to one that doesn't reek of fundamental attribution bias, then I'm going to have to assume that there aren't magical super beings out there who can push one domino here and predict butterfly effect, how it's going to impact the world globally. It's insane. So, no. I mean, it's true. Like, you can't target races because they don't exist. You know, I mean, people might self-identify as a given race if you give them if you give a bunch of a population of any population of people a paper that says, which are you? And the choices are wizard, fighter, thief, cleric, and druid. Probably you'll get returned to you if you then collect those papers. Let's say they're do it in some public space and then collect the ones that are left behind. A probably majority of them, at least, will have one of those things checked. Some of them will have a box drawn on it, check, none of the above, written next to it. And some of them will be left blank. But what meaningful information does that give you? Well, if you want to target druids, you now know, okay, they put their names on them. Here's our stack of targets. Here are the druids. Except, what are we missing? They're not really druids. They're not wizards either. Or clerics. They're none of those things. It was silly to check a box in the first place. Well, it was the most significant look, the internet's changing everything, right? It still is. It's because transitions don't happen instantly, and there's still swaths of the population alive who aren't digital natives, etc. But what happened with COVID is an example of, it is exactly what we expect, because humanity is in its intellectual tweens. Most of humanity is. So, intellectual adulthood looks like what I'm saying. But it's not something attained by very many people. Very few. Eventually, humanity will catch up, so to speak, or they'll still lag behind, but it's like standard of living, you know. The poor, when even the poor have refrigerators and TVs and all these kind of things, then we have to remember that. We have to remember to compare against actual need, or actual. We have to remember that relative poverty is just psychological. Anyway, I don't remember where I'm going now. I lost my train of thought.
You sounded pretty on track to me.
Well, thanks, but Kim who? I try to identify as a wizard and say the W word, but I still get beat up in the subway. Hey, only we wizards can call each other whizzes.
I would check off wizard, just so guys know.
It's disrespectful for clerics to call us a whiz. That's something we say to each other.
Whiz.
I was talking about Kim Jong-un. Okay, so what type is he? I don't know. I mean, the thing is, you get so little real access to anything that's authentic about the person. If for instance, coming out of North Korea, everybody is constantly trying not to fuck up, or trying not to be trying to get slightly more of their meager slave rations. Now, I haven't seen Kim Jong-un's cool video where he made himself look like a badass. Did he? Did he successfully pull it off? Does he look like a badass in the video? Is this recent? Did it come out recently?
Based off of that, I wouldn't base off of that. Because that could just be... It can't be just off of that. But, I mean, that's definitely stuff to look at for sure. Kim Jong-un.
Is there music behind it? Maybe I could try. Or we could type the media, basically. We could say, alright, here are the, I guess, here's how Meow plays out on FE levels or something. We could maybe do something like that. We could talk about how the video plays on FE levels. Just do an FE analysis of it.
Yeah.
Whether it works or not, on whom it works. Like whether
I
it
already
works on audiences.
don't like it.
You know what? Have you seen it before?
I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen it. But I don't like it on an FE level. There is a part of me that's like... I mean... He did let people make fun of him in that movie. I just think that he's...
He let who make fun of him? You didn't get to let or not let people make fun of him.
James Franco and Seth Rogen had a movie where they like meet Kim Jong-un, and it was like a big deal because like he like said it was okay. I don't know, he just seems like a cardboard person who dictates what goes and what doesn't go, and I think that it's cool that he made a video, because
I think it's a good idea for me, Bobby, to check it out and consider maybe. It sounds intriguing to me to type that video maybe, but I'm not
oh
going to
my god, type the video.
I mean,
I'm
just for
scared of that.
like talk about what the video says about how the video represents a manifestation of some kinds of attention and the values associated with those over others. I don't think it necessarily represents Kim Jong-un's vision.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
right?
he's like not cool. Just gonna let people know, like, when you're Kim Jong-un and have to do what you do in order to seem cool, you're not cool. Like, there's a lot of try hard in what he's doing, which lessens his coolness. I'm sorry, it's just true. When you try, it's a little less cool.
Well,
So, that's just my 2 cents.
I think really, Rachel, you're objecting to the
His
concept
lifestyle of being
A dictator?
Yeah, a dictator.
A horrible dictator, yeah.
Yeah, a horrible person. He's a horrible person.
Yeah, he's evil. Yeah, hi T. I'm sorry I didn't respond to that yet. I see what you said there about encountering the Mindy channel. Mindy's Club. I'm glad to hear that. And it's this is precious to me here, this place to live stream and engage with people. But
It's fun.
I feel like I'm writing a book. So when I was writing Gospel of the Pantheon or my novella before that, The Megalomaniacs, when you're writing a novel, if you're spending multiple hours a day on it, you get immersed in the universe of that book that you're writing, such that even when you're not writing it, you're still in your head living in it. That's how it's starting to be with Mindy's Club with me. It's like I've got lots of narratives planned. CJ, a 6 mile Uber is like $300. Hey. What did that noise ever do to you, Jonathan Basanti? Because I'm concerned that everybody keeps fucking that noise. And that noise has got to be pretty fucked up by this point.
That's so funny. I have no problem paying for an Uber. I have no problem. Like, if you can take me where I want to go, I'll pay.
I doubt it. I'm pretty sure it's not $300 to go 6 miles in an Uber. How much is it, do you think?
I don't know. It's probably like over 30. Probably, right?
Round
6
trip?
miles? Round trip?
6 miles isn't that far.
I don't know. I've done. I can't. My TE is bad.
Uber is stupid expensive these days. You might as well just
Is
take.
it?
You might as well just take a cab then, right?
Yeah.
Well. Oh, okay. NYC 6 miles is different than that. Makes sense. Yeah, I do know that sometimes when you're traveling in really densely populated downtown areas, that during certain times of day they have different prices and stuff like that. So I knew about that, but I have taken Ubers and stuff before. Rachel has taken them before, but
I do Lyft.
or you do Lyft.
Yeah. I've taken Uber before, but I usually do Lyft.
It would be $100 to go 6 miles in Uber. How much would it cost with Lyft?
Wow.
Yeah, why don't you ride your bike? Fuck Uber then. Jesus Christ, $100 to go 6 miles? I mean, I'm pretty sure I could ride my bike and I could ride 6 miles on my bicycle. If I was just riding it myself, going at like regular full Eric speed, I could ride 6 miles and let me see, how far away is 6 miles? Where's 6 miles from?
I know I couldn't.
I'm trying to figure out where's 6 miles from here. We're probably looking at.
It's like 15 minutes.
We're probably looking at like where the 134 and the 210 meet from here.
That's not so bad.
So okay,
6
if I were
miles
to,
on a bike in 15 minutes.
if I were to ride my bicycle from here to like the tip of Old Town Pasadena up there where it starts to go over into Eagle Rock, you can see over the side of the hill and there's the valley down there. But if I were to ride over before it turns to 134, like basically that Suicide Bridge. If I were to ride my bike from here to Suicide Bridge in the Rose Bowl, that would be about 6 miles, I bet. I think that would take me half an hour.
That's pretty good.
I don't think it would take much longer than that, probably. Let's see.
I hate exercising.
Yeah, well, you get all sweaty. There is that.
I like yoga, but I don't know if that's exercise. That's
The thing is, I move unusually efficiently on a bicycle as well because I'm very tall and I have a bicycle that's actually fitted to me. I went to the bike store and got the right size frame and everything. So
that makes a huge difference.
6 miles from my house. Boo. Map. Circle. 6 mile radius from current location. How do you draw a 6 mile radius on Google Maps? I guess I have to go to Google Maps. Google Maps. Okay. Now, I'm going to, guys, at my house. Now, let me see. What's this thing? Can you draw a radius on Google Maps? You can't determine. A quick reminder. Use an alternative tool. One is Calc Maps. Okay, well, so you can't do it in Google Maps, but I can still see what's 6 miles from here. Let's see. No, I don't want to see your stupid COVID information. But yeah, my daughter just got COVID not that long ago. So, alright.
I feel for her.
So let's see here. I'm going to see how far away the Rose Bowl is. Directions. It's 7.8 miles. Okay, so that's a little further than 6 miles. So there's the Rose
2
Bowl.
hours and 42
That's for
minutes
walking. Yeah, what about bicycling?
Bicycle,
It says 49 minutes. Okay, well that's for 7 point some miles. Actually, it's 8.4 miles. So there's a distance and there's a road distance. Okay, so that's the road distance, 8.4 miles. If 8.4 miles can be done in 49 minutes, 8.4 miles in 49 minutes, that's 49 divided by 8.4, then it's assuming a 6 minute mile, 6 minute, basically a 5.8 minute mile. 5.8 times 6 equals 35. 35 minutes. So I predicted it would take me 30 minutes to go 6 miles, and I think my prediction is correct because I think I'm faster than the Google Maps bicycle speed average.
That's old school. I don't think I've ever ridden my bike that far. I used to ride my bike a lot. But everything in Franklin Square is a mile away. So I never really used to walk a lot. But not that far.
I feel like a 6-mile bike ride would take me well over an hour, even if I hauled ass. Ha ha. Well, it depends on how good your bike is too. It's like mine's a cross bike, which means it's not full on 10 speed, but it's definitely not a mountain bike, and it's, like I said, very tall, and I'm very tall, and if the tires are all the way pumped up, it's not a super heavy bike, you know. I can very efficiently convert pedal power into forward momentum because I'm also tall and skinny and have long legs, which function as long pistons. But even so, my legs will be, I'll be tired and my legs will be tired and I'll be like, oh, why didn't I drive? You know, I'm accustomed to driving places. Alright, let's see what's going on here. We missed a lot of stuff. Alright. Half an hour is decent.
Go ahead, Carrot.
Lol, no FG. You'd have to be going 24 miles an hour at a constant rate to do that on a bike. What, to go 6 miles half an hour? I mean, that's what Google Maps says is going to take me 35 minutes, so it's not that far off, right? I don't think I'm going 24 miles an hour the whole time, but maybe you did the math wrong. If you get one on Craigslist, even a nice one, you'll probably want to get it tuned up at a bike shop first thing anyway, and you'll incur more costs. It is true that bicycles have some kind of maintenance costs, but you can do some of the maintenance yourself. But
Mine needs new tires.
Yeah, mine does too.
But does yours?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I need to blow them up and see if they hold air, but they're currently, one of them, or at least is flat. So that's why I haven't ridden my bike in a long time.
Ah.
And also because your tires are flat, and so yeah. Can you give us some examples of NI? I'm trying to learn more about it, how to spot it. Well, it's the alternative way of knowing to your experience. So if you recognize somebody because you know them and you talked to them before, oh hey Joseph, I recognize you. We had that class together last year. Then that's SI knowing. If, say, you go into a room of people and they're all dressed about the same, but you just know and can tell, and nobody's really standing out in terms of volume level or their voice, and there's various interactions going on, but you can just tell which person's the boss. And you can't fully explain why you know it, but they're just giving out a certain vibe, and other people are giving out a certain vibe in response to make it pretty clear to you that they're the boss. That's intuition kind of knowing, or introverted intuition. Let's see.
Mines are also sloths, so...
Know when you have internet friends who you want to meet up with, like if you're going to chime in, at least be correct. Once again, it sounds like somebody's incensed Master Bobby. Please don't incense Master Bobby. He'd only take a long bike ride to meet up with the girl 'cause he's Mayun. What's a Mayun? Mayun. A Mayan? Oh, he's a man. Oh, you mean with a penis? Right. What's his mom? It's astonishing how affirming you are about me and my media. It's astonishing. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's what's astonishing. We could have a jam session. I'm cringy. Oh no, Bobby and Fly Guy are exchanging accusations of cringiness. You're cringy. No, You're cringy. Nuh-uh. You are. For dough carrot balls, for dough carrot, you shouldn't actually pump your quads above your knees. The seat is too low. Oh, right, on the bicycle. Yeah, well, that's what I mean by like having my bicycle be very efficient and everything. Is I got it optimally set up like with those kind of things in mind at the bike shop. I got like the biggest frame they had. You know, the one I was getting on, I said, well, this one seems to be the right height to me. And the guy's like, it seems that way, but you need one that seems too tall for you, and so you can barely tippy toe touch the ground.
Really?
Yeah, because that's the max. That way, you're getting maximal like power curve from your legs orientation. It's like what Home Fries says there. If your knees go above your quads, your seat's too low.
They always say that in yoga too. I have such a problem with that. But then my bike is the right height for me because I get on it with my tippy toes.
Jonathan Basanti, the proper policy for helmet wearing is this. This does not apply to TE Polar people who get their own policy for helmet wearing.
That's me.
Also, SE Polar can join the TE Polar people over there unless you
Yeah, I
wear
would
helmets.
recommend it. Join the club.
Now, people who are not TE or SE Polar, the proper approach to helmets is helmets go on when something becomes motorized. If it's not motorized, there's no helmets because you aren't trying to do crazy stunts or something. If you're trying to do crazy stunts or something, that's different. You're not just, if I'm riding my bicycle somewhere down the street, that's one thing. Whereas if I'm trying to do like a backflip BMX trick thing, that's totally different. So then, yes, you have to wear a helmet because then you're not using your transportation thing as it was intended to be used. So, you know, it's like you're sticking the Q-tip inside of your ear, whereas it was intended to just be used to rub this part. Makes it very clear. Only rub this part with the Q-tip.
Oh my god, that's what they mean?
If you go in here,
freaking
it's too
idea.
dangerous. Don't do that. This is this is a perfect example of truth being sacrificed, right? In order to avoid liability, a company that makes a product that people use to swish around the inside of their ear has to say on it, not intended to be used to swish around the inside of your ear. In order to avoid liability. I don't like helmets because everybody who's 50 years old and male knows deep in their heart of hearts what I learned clearly as a child and which we all were in full agreement about. Reflectors and helmets are for sissies. Only sissies have reflectors on their bike. It makes it look gay. You just take all the reflectors off of your bike. And only people who are mentally retarded wear helmets. Everybody knows that.
I didn't.
Like that's how I perceived it, and my friends and I perceived it when we were kids. Is if you had a helmet on for any reason, you would be perceived as being like that was what that was associated with.
Wow, that's so specific.
Because back then, people didn't wear helmets like alpine skiing events. They probably didn't even have helmets on. It wouldn't surprise me if in the early 70s. Downhill skiers didn't wear any helmets. Certainly children racing down hills on bicycles didn't. Right. If you use reflectors, you might as well wrap yourself up in a rainbow flag and go prancing down the street singing, "I left my heart in San Francisco." Now, since my childhood, of course, there's been this onslaught of extreme sports where you've got people doing all these flips and twists and jump-ins and half pipes and full pipes and double pipes and quadru pipes, etc. And those things obviously have made helmets a lot more normalized, because if you want to go hard in those sports, basically you have to wear a helmet. And so, you know.
They've made them really sleek now too. Like, if you look at snowboarding helmets and stuff, they're like very streamlined. They're nice. But I'm.
Wear your darn helmet.
That's what Jordan Peterson would say to me. You would think because like I need to like.
You want to go over there and have fun? Who's talking about responsibility?
Oh my god.
Well, who's having that half of the conversation? Who's talking about responsibility? It bloody matters, it does. You are, Jordan. You're talking about responsibility.
Ludafe says, when I learned to snowboard the first time in the early 90s, no one wore helmets. Second time around 2021, everyone just about. That's interesting.
Well, what's kind of funny is when I was 16, I think, my friend Dave Porter had a motorcycle and took me for a ride. I got on the back of it, and I had on a helmet, and he didn't, because he's like, no, it's pretty important to wear a helmet when you're on a motorized bike. But so if we're gonna get crash or whatever, I'd rather you have the helmet than me, because then how fucked up is that, you know? So anyway, we did crash that very ride, and we crashed into an old lady because there were, in the May Company parking lot, there were these spiral driveways. One went up, and one went in the other corner went down. They were both one way, right? Dave went up that and came out the top. It's blind when you first come out the top, and he plowed right into the side of this, like, I can picture it. It looks like a 1977 green Lincoln Continental in my head. And it's sort of this big long green car the old lady just drove, and she, it was probably 10 years old at the time, or 9 years old at the time, or something. So anyway, we crashed into this lady, and she was all like, "Oh, I have a heart condition," and the ambulance came, and I got my knee scraped up really bad, it was just like there's no skin, it was scraped pretty good, but I didn't want my parents to find out that I had been on the motorcycle, right? I figured that wasn't gonna play well, so I told them I'd fallen down in PE and scraped my knee. And the hilarious thing is, of course, they would have been, my mom especially would have been like, ah, if I had told her that I got in a motorcycle accident. But they didn't blink an eye at school injuring me like that. Right?
That's funny.
Isn't that weird? Oh, it's fine as long as it happened at school. Because, you know, school's allowed to do whatever they want.
Oh, like it's a total scraping of your like skin from your knee. Ow.
Well, then I got this call from an insurance company, and they were like following up how bad about my injuries, you know. And I'm like, no, okay. It's just like barely a scrape, just that. Because I realized, you know, oh shit, if I hadn't been the one here home at this time picking up the landline, which was all anybody had at the time, if it had been my mom or my dad, I would have been fucked. They would have found out about it. This is what my thinking was at the time, right?
Yeah.
So I immediately went into panic, like, don't call her again. We're fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Everything's perfect. Don't call her again. And of course, this insurance lady, who's probably used to people wanting some money when they get hurt in accidents, I wonder if she probably couldn't figure it out. Like, what's up with that guy? Huh. He sure did seem desperate to hurriedly convince me that he was totally fine and to never deal with this again. What's going on there? But it's funny that, you know, 80s, I guess, the insurance company probably had the information that I was 15 or something, but there was no insistence on talking to my parents. Right? Isn't that weird?
Yes, that is weird.
They just called a 15-year-old who'd been in a motorcycle accident and told them, like, no, I'm fine, don't call her again. And they're like, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Due diligence. Yeah, we did our job. It doesn't cost us
That's
anything.
exactly so.
It doesn't hurt with the bottom line, then it's fine.
She did her part. She called.
Yeah, she did her part, and I got what I wanted, which was for my parents not to find out that I had gotten in this motorcycle crash. It's not like the insurance company was going to make my scab go away faster.
No.
Scab go away hurry services. Oh, you're still waiting to cherish? Okay, you can begin cherishing now. And cherish now. I always felt like that didn't make sense to me in TV shows and movies. Like, you don't just get to take someone's bike. You will be hearing from my lawyers. Well, because they have to establish somebody's a villain, CJ. That's the critical thing. It's like, you know, in Japan, from what I've learned from anime, one of the, just as clouds are a sign of rain coming, and really heavy clouds are a sure sign of rain, you can guarantee a hero is going to arrive any second now whenever a rape is attempted in Japan. Because as soon as there's about to be violatory penetration, man, Japanese heroes just arrive in the nick of time to chop all of the bad guys in half with one swing of their incredible katana. It seems like attempted and failed rape is rampant in Japan. Attempted rape ending in the heroically just slaying of the attempted rapist by a sword-wielding hero is the most common event noted in the police blotters in Japan. We watch a lot of anime, you know.
Yeah, we do.
This girl over here and me.
I
Oh my god, that one today was so good.
That one today was so good. It makes me excited.
Okay, the new one on Crunchyroll. It when I clicked on it, it says it's called Spy Family X, and I looked at it and I was like, no, what? It has a 5-star rating with 4,500 votes, not 4.9, 5. I don't think I've ever seen it.
No, me
Like every
neither.
single person voted it 5 stars or something, and it's the best first episode of an anime I've seen in a long time. It is incredibly well paced and exciting and fun and just it's great. So we'll see. You know, there's a 3-episode rule for anime, right? You got to give it 3 episodes because it's called Spy Family X. Spy Family X. Spy X Family, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
The
like
X
the
is-
X in the middle.
The X is kind of in the middle, but I'm not sure if it's like sort of behind it or if it's
like
between
it's
the
in
two words.
It's between the
You
two
think
words.
it's two?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So the 3-episode rule is, you know, give it 3 episodes before you get too enthusiastic or too like dismissive about it. If it seems
That's
really tough, so promising. But the top comment on this one is, I know we're supposed to adhere to the 3-episode rule, but 1 episode in and this is a certified banger, and I couldn't agree anymore with that sentiment. But of course, it could end up disappointing. It could end up letting us down and turning out to be shitty. You never know. The pervy sage journey would be killer. When things get a little too hentai, then I tend to just go, okay, this thing doesn't know what it is, you know?
Man,
Be one thing or the other.
I would be like, no. I'd be taken away from the storyline and then like brought right to like sex. It doesn't separate. It then becomes part of the.
The most porny, non-hentai cartoon on Crunchyroll that I've seen is one I just recently started looking at, which is called like The Rogue Hero or something like that. And it's got fully exposed boobs with nips and everything. So, bouncing. And I find it, well, I just think, okay, those two things don't go together. Like, I don't want my, like, I don't know, R cups, do those exist? You know, ridiculous.
I seriously say that, like, if I were smaller chested, I would think that, like, I would be jealous of anime girl boobs because they're, like, most often.
The word heaving comes to mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The point is, if I want heaving titties, well, then I'm not really in the mood for watching a show about magical fairies and adventures in another world. And if I'm in the mood for watching a show about adventures in another world, magical fairies and fun things like that, then I don't really want tig old bitties taking my attention and converting it over to, well, now I want tig old bitties, you know? So, it's not appreciating the fact that you separate the bathroom from the dining area, you know?
Yeah, isn't that a saying? Like, you know,
I mean, it is
where
now.
you eat.
Well, don't poop where you eat is it's actually don't shit where you sleep, I think is the official
Oh.
saying, but eat works just as well. But What I'm saying is don't locate the bathroom close to the dining room is probably more analogous here because it's not so much that it's shitting where I'm eating as it is that I'm seated too close to the bathroom and the door keeps opening and I'm forced to smell urinal cake. You go ahead and you do you, Fly Guy. You eat on the shitter all you want.
Yeah, do what you want.
Nobody's disputing that sometimes you gotta eat and poop at the same time.
I mean, what?
What is this like, look at the kitty, right? Like, why does she do that?
So funny. It's like she's so tired that her face goes smushed into the...
I mean, like, sometimes Kitty will lie there and she's lying on her face like this on the floor, you know? Just in a low floor, just, like, why are you comfortable like that? Garbage disposal in the shower.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Then you could only eat lettuce, basically. You only eat raw vegetables in the shower in that sense, because you can eat anything that you can get wet while you're eating it, and it'd still be fine to eat. It's basically lettuce, cucumbers, maybe fruit, maybe like peaches or something. Sushi, not sushi. I will probably die having not watched Game of Thrones too.
But that's like definitely okay because the 6th season was atrocious. It ended so poorly and it disappointed a lot of fans, let me tell you.
Well, I don't know if you guys have heard, but apparently Space Pants is in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he is.
So,
and they say he's an ENTP. Yeah, he gets typed as ENTP.
I believe it. I believe it after seeing Space Pants. If you haven't seen Space Pants yet, you just YouTube search the term Space Pants, and
so
I'm sure it'll
funny.
pop right up. It stars Peter Dinklage. Only noobs get sucked into HBO dramas that never end properly. It's a genre of media that I call will die having not seen, listened.
I mean, it's like really okay. Life goes on now. I mean, The Sopranos is known as one of... Well, everyone says The Wire is like one of the best shows ever. I've never seen The Wire. Probably won't see The Wire.
Now I want to see The Wire. I want to talk about the Cars versus the Talking Heads. So Rachel and I were having this conversation earlier. Rachel putting on some music. She put on some Talking Heads stuff. I think her dad likes Talking Heads a lot.
My dad
so
does.
She probably
My dad likes
heard a lot of Talking Heads. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've never been a huge Talking Heads fan, although I can understand why some of their songs are, and some of the stuff is good, quote unquote. I think it's too NE in the vocals for me, and its delivery, not really in the lyrics, not in the melody, but rather in the delivery is part of the thing. And also the song structure is a little rangy for my taste. But the Cars and the Talking Heads have a lot of things in common. Oh my god! I mean, there was one episode of The Sopranos that was like, I wish I hadn't said that, because now it reminds me of it. It's this horribly depressing episode that I watched.
Really?
Oh my god!
Oh, that makes me so sad.
Anywho, the thing is, I posit, and Rachel, I think maybe agrees or doesn't actually particularly disagree that the main guy in Talking Heads, Dave Byrne,
Oh yeah, I agree.
is INTJ, whereas the main guy in the Cars, Rick,
INFJ.
what's his name, Rick, Mia, or something, he's INFJ. That's what I think, and I think you can tell the difference in part by looking at their lyrics. The Cars lyrics still show any absolute valuing. In other words, they're not entirely derivative, but they have a universality to their themes that makes them much more. It makes them, in my opinion, better. Yeah, I know. It was great, and probably the same episode. I don't know. It was super depressing. That episode was like, it stuck with me for too long.
Oh, I hate when show stuff sticks. with
Yeah.
you.
It's like-
Oh, you think about it. Oh.
Anyhow, you got the lyrics by David Byrne. They're very NI, but they're not very resonant with people's experience, right? So, psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Run, 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 run away. And so it's like, what's your point here in this song? And there's another song that Rachel played for me where the lyrics are like, my love is a meow, that meow is a different meow, that meow is a house, and the house is burning.
Mm-hmm.
It's very NI, but it's arty NI, it's not resonant NI.
That's David Byrne for you.
Whereas with the Cars, you get things like, I don't mind you coming here and wasting all my time. 'Cause then I didn't know so near. I kinda lose my mind, yeah. It's not the costumes that you wear,
It's not
but the bubble in your hair. I don't mind you coming here and wasting all my time. I guess you're just what I needed.
what I needed. I needed someone to be.
But the thing is, if you listen to the rest of that chorus, right, then it deviates from your expectations because he's not really being nice to this person. It turns out just what I needed means you were just what I needed right then. You were just what I needed, like when I needed to go poo and I needed to go pee. Then I needed to go number 3 and you were there. It seems to be sort of the message there. But it doesn't play like that to audiences because of the way it comes in the after chorus, like the end part of the chorus. You just expect it to say, I needed someone to love. But it says everything but that.
You know who my dad also likes that's I consider to be arty is the lead singer of Jefferson Starship and Jefferson Airplane. What's her name? Oh man. She talks like, she sings like this.
It sounds like you're doing the voice of Nico. I'll be your mirror, reflect to you all, in case you don't know. I'll be the wind, the rain, and the meow meow. I think that Nico is German or something. She kind of sounds, she's got this kind of undefinable accent. and this weird kind of like I picture her as a lady, a severe lady at an Art Deco style makeup bureau sitting place where ladies put on the makeup, you know. The way she sounds, like all, I'll be your maybe if it in
case you don't know. I thought she was a guy at first time I heard the song.
She's an alto, so she does have a low on the lower end of the range for a chick.
I like that song.
Yeah, I like that. I like that song. I like. What else did she sing on? For a B? What other BU songs did she sing? I like a lot of BU songs. You know.
I'm learning more how much I like them through you. Like I really like Velvet Underground.
Well, the other thing about Velvet Underground is they're songs that I learned to play the guitar on a lot of times. Like early songs that I played on the guitar before I knew how to play the guitar very well. I played Sunday morning and I'm yawning. I'd play, that was a Nico song, I think. I'd play I'm Waiting for My Man. I'd play Sweet Jane. I'd play, also, one of my favorite VU songs, for sure, is when you close the door, the night could last forever. Keep the sun light out and say goodbye to never. All the people are dancing and they're having such fun. I wish they would listen to me. I wish it would happen to me. So when you close the door, you never have to see the day again.
I didn't know that was them. That's such a good song.
Yeah, it's such a good song. Hey, well, CJ, you and I have good taste in things, and I'm impressed by your musicianship too. I was watching you just doodle around on the guitar, and you weren't even really trying to perform at all. You sounded good. You sound like you know what you're doing. Like, and I don't like hearing other people play the guitar in general. I think I don't like what they're playing. I don't like what they're doing. I don't like their instincts. And most of the time, when other people playing the guitar, I'm gonna be driven away by it. In fact, the first time you busted it out, I went away anticipating I would be driven away by it. But you are much more artistically, aesthetically correct than I ever would have anticipated. I didn't even know you really played the guitar, right? And you when you were singing, you sounded great.
Yeah.
I mean, I am not just blowing smoke up your ass, because I am not generally a person to be pleasantly surprised. I'm almost always unpleasantly surprised. You know? So, yeah, it sounded great. It sounds like you have a decent sounding guitar, too, which is nice to get a little bit more bottom end than my guitar I get out of my guitar, you know. But regardless of that, how long have you been playing for? You've been playing for like since you were a little kid or something? Because you can't be very old. You don't look very old anyway. I'm glad to know that. Thank you for saying that, CJ.
Nice.
Well, yeah, I was I was struck right away by the fact that CJ's stream was the only other time I'd ever experienced an equivalent environment, or an environment that I felt like really at home in on YouTube than here, you know? Because nobody YouTubes like that, really, as far as I can tell, or at least I don't go around looking for it, so what the hell do I know? The kind of things that are being recommended to me right now by YouTube, oh my god. For some reason, YouTube thinks Mindy Club wants to see videos of animals attacking each other. How the hell it got that impression, because I am not interested in those kind of things at all. CJ O'Connell is not 47 years old. There's no way he's 47. I do not believe that for 1 second.
Is that his spiritual age? 47?
I don't know. Maybe that's his favorite number. Out of a poll of 100 people, if you ask them what's your favorite number between 1 and 100, how many people do you think would say 47?
I don't know.
What do you think would be the most popular number if you polled 100 people?
7,
7?
13.
13? How about 1?
1, yeah.
Even though it's the loneliest number?
Yeah, I think 1 would definitely be up there. Number 1, baby! Hi, Al.
Hi, Joe.
42.
So you learned
42 is a...
on a guitar with the strings upside down, and now you have to play a guitar strung like that? I mean, if that's how you learn, just keep doing it, you know? Nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's just a hassle for you, you know? Because you have to... I mean, do you have to have like, you can just put the strings upside down on this guitar and it would become a left-handed guitar, right?
Yes.
You don't have to have a special... Structurally, it's not any different, right?
No. That's what Paul McCartney used to do.
Is he left-handed?
Yes.
I think CJ's right-handed, though.
Yeah.
Eric, do you know Kabbalah? I think there's some overlay with MBTI. It might be more just as useful, maybe more objective. Okay, well, that's just what I mean. I don't want to go through my subjective objective lecture again about using words correctly, but suffice it to say that comes before engaging the matter seriously. You guys preach about eating cheese all the time. Oh no, it's been retracted and I can't see it. Oh my god. Now I'll never know what it said. Technically, the guitars are going to be set up to have thick strings on the low part of the nut, high strings, vice versa, but you can flip the nut. You guys preach about eating cheese all the time, but we've never seen you scarf down cheese on live streams. Come on, show us how you cheese it. I had the other night, we had this cheese flight, which had 3 different kinds of cheese in it. I ate by myself two of the cheeses. And there's a fair amount of cheese in each of these things, but I was really hungry. I was waiting for the meat to finish, right? So I ate a shit ton of it. But it's true that we don't actually eat that much cheese.
No.
We don't. Because Cheese is something that we get when we do a full-on grocery trip, which we don't do very often because it's tricky for us to buy groceries, one, that have any perishability, because we never know whether we're going to eat it or not until after we've not eaten it. Anyway, we periodically get a block of Tillamook cheddar and
Oh, yeah,
we'll eat
that's
slices
good.
of that, but
Yeah. But
we're
it's
just
been
not
a
very
while.
attentive to our eating and drinking stuff. Like today, Rachel made this plate of meat and vegetable thing that came in a little tub pre-prepared from the supermarket, and we've just been picking at it, eating bites off of it for hours now. And like I'll probably have some cheeses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm in great health actually. So the thing is, I do like cheese, but most importantly, I don't need any painkillers because I'm not in any pain. Which should be obvious enough to anybody watching me, because I don't bear suffering quietly or well, or probably I wouldn't even bear it publicly because I wouldn't feel like doing anything because I'd be uncomfortable or something, you know. But I get that you're just here to ham-fistedly do your thing. So go ahead, ham-fistedly do your thing.
Show media, I'm a rat in Chinese astrology.
She's a rat in the streets, but a freak in the sheets.
Thanks, babe. Cool show media.
It makes you special, CJ. It makes you stand out. It also makes you harder to copy. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it would be the case that you're harder to copy if you play. Like, it's really hard to play a bunch of Joni Mitchell songs because she always had all these alternate tunings. So it's like, do you really want to hassle with alternate tunings? I don't even use a capo for fuck's sake. So I'm what they call lazy blazy guitar tech hazy. Okay, I don't like the guitar teching thing at all.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't like having to change strings. I don't like having to.
I don't even like to tune it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I don't like the fact that, you know, you have to get a fret job eventually, or a guitar or something. Okay. Somebody just hand me a guitar that works. I don't want to have to think about the physicalities of this thing.
Then you have to like find a pick too.
Well, I don't. I never play with a pick anymore. I used to occasionally play with a pick. I'd have certain things I do with a pick, but now I just never play with a pick anymore. Stereo Lab. In fact, I saw a video of Letitia Sadier from Stereo Lab playing that way once, so I left a comment that she liked. Playing what way?
That's nice.
Playing the way you play? Huh. Wall pedals can be cool. I'm just not a gearhead at all. So it's like Corey, he had this really cool setup of an old diamond-shaped Vox guitar, vintage from back in the day, like, and a Vox amp, and it sounded great going through a wah, and he used a wah to great effect. But you got to play the guitar a certain way if you want to incorporate a wah, and it's very funk oriented, you know. Okay. Do I watch anime? Yeah, we watch a lot of anime. I like anime. Oh, Alien 60, why will you cherish this stream forever? Because in this stream I revealed the secret hidden truth, which is everything you think you knew about yourself, every word you've ever said, every identity you ever possessed or identified with, every scrap and script, corner and heap of your ontology that you've thought, believed, felt, understood, wished, hoped for, feared, whatever, prior to this moment, has been a complete lie. Now, deep within you, if you search, now you're experiencing ego death and the power of the truth that I just delivered. What I want you to do is search deep within you for an Eric approved self. You will find yourself, a miniature version of it, and it's got the words written on it. You may have to bring your glasses because it's not large print. Approved by Eric. Now this version of you that's been approved by me has been pre-approved by me to be a better you than you currently are. So now that I've killed your existing self with the powerful truth that everything you ever thought, felt, or understood at all heretofore has been a lie, I want you to open up that package and I want you to put it in water. That Eric approved alternate self will then grow and expand until it fills up your body and you will become your optimal Eric approved self. You won't be Eric, you're just Eric approved at that point. You know, and you, prior to this moment, prior to me liberating you, you were in a mud bath of lies. You were trying to get clean in a mud wallow of lies. But will you ever get clean by wallowing in the mud of lies? No.
No.
You just get ever more filthy. And when I told you that insightful truth about your failure to ever know anything or be or do or think or feel anything true until this moment, it freed you from that mud wallow of lies. And now you're standing outside the mud wallow and I'm squirting you with a hose. And you're saying, where am I? I've been lost for my entire life. I feel like I'm seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, knowing, feeling, thinking, believing for the first time ever. And in exchange for this invaluable, priceless gift you've given me, Eric, I swear to you now, I will cherish this live stream for the rest of my life. And you will. There's no doubting that. Cherish away. If you haven't begun cherishing yet, cherish harder. There. Now you're cherishing. I can feel it. I can feel the cherishment from here. Anyway, I think it's time for me to call it a nizite. What do you think? We're done?
I'm done if you're done.
I think so. Let's call it a nizite. Good, I'm glad. Also, no, not only have I provided you a status update worth cherishing, I want you to know that with the pull of this bong rip, this ceremonial bong rip, I will express from me, through my lungs, and the power of my transubstantiation via the fiery flames of Yalor's truth, I shall exercise a completed action of cherishing you, each of you.
I shall do the same.
Rachel and I are going to both personally be there, actively with our hands cherishing you. All you got to do is close your eyes and open your body to the feeling of our cherishing hands, and then we'll wrap this up after you've been cherished we've cherished each of you. Okay, are we ready for cherishing?
Yes.
We hereby transubstantiate our cherishment.
some NI. Here's some NI. If you're a rat in New York City, it's a good idea to steal pizza from the garbage.
And what should you do, Rachel, if the moon gets stuck between... If you get stuck between the moon and New York City? How do you get
Liza
yourself loose?
Minnelli?
Oh, I'm sorry, say again?
Think of Liza Minnelli.
I don't think you could just... you need to just think of her. You need to call out for her to come help you. Liza Minnelli, come save me. I'm stuck between the moon and New York City. Oh, I gotta come save that crazy guy. Okay. Well, as you can see, I cherished the living fuck out of you with that bomb rip. That was full blast, full bowl, full cherish. So if you're feeling a little tender or sore in spots, sorry if I cherished too hard, but hopefully everybody survived the ordeal. And we will see you next time. I strongly suggest everybody head on over to CJ's channel, where Rachel and I may end up heading over there too, because he's going to be streaming next. And so if you want to get there and don't know where it is, you click his name. Probably there's the 3 dots over next to his name, and it'll say go to his channel. You should do that now, okay? Or whenever. Okay, goodbye everybody. I glove you. Rachel and I glove you with our his arts. And that will keep your hand warm.